What is a large language model, and what does it have to do with artificial intelligence and those kinds of tools? Well, ChatGPT is a type of large language model. It's an advanced artificial intelligence program that's designed to understand, generate, and respond to human language. And so understanding how these work will help you understand how you can get better output out of ChatGPT or other artificial intelligence programs. They're trained on human language and they're designed to try to generate an appropriate response. And so it's built on this foundation, this idea of machine learning, specifically a kind of neural network architecture known as transformers. And then these models are trained on vast amounts of text data to learn patterns in language. And so as they feed, just using ChatGPT as our prime example, as they feed that artificial intelligence tool more and more text, and then as they train on that text, which is the next step, then ChatGPT's output, what it can generate after we give it a query or some kind of prompt, then improves and begins to improve at an ever-increasing rate as you know, you'll hear people talk about once we can turn artificial intelligence back on itself, it can train itself. And that's very exciting and some people consider kind of terrifying. And so there's a lot to consider here. But let's look at what the training process consists of. We're going to give this neural network a large amount of text, and then we're going to take that text and kind of train it, teach it what is a good response, what is a not good response. And in this way, it can, based on the data that it's getting from a number of angles, begin to predict the next word in a sentence, which helps it understand, grammar and context and those kinds of things. What's interesting about ChatGPT, even though we call it an artificial intelligence and it feels very conversational, feels very much like you're talking to a software or to a computer, that's not actually what's happening. It's performing a math problem. It's predicting the probability of the next most likely word given the context that it's been provided with. So the models generate text, comprehend input. Large language models, many of them can translate languages, answer questions, summarize passages, and then, as we'll talk about in ChatGPT in some use cases, can take data like in spreadsheets and organize it and do all of this very quickly. So there are a lot of applications for how you can use a large language model, and that's probably why you're here, because it's so very exciting to see how people are using artificial intelligence. So large language models are capable, but you do need to understand that they are not perfect. So one of the drawbacks currently of large language models, and ChatGPT as well, is that there's a vocabulary that's developed. It will hallucinate. And hallucinate is when something like ChatGPT or a large language model says something or generates an output that sounds to human ears very confident and yet turns out to be very, very wrong. And so there are some interesting things in the news, and there have been some legal issues where lawyers would say, no, this is a case, ChatGPT told me, and ChatGPT is citing law that doesn't exist very confidently and very convincingly. And so that's something that you need to keep an eye on as you use a large language model. And then obviously, as we continue to look at large language models and artificial intelligence in general, there are a lot of concerns about the ethics of it, about how we should use it, whether we should allow children to use it in school assignments and those kinds of things. And so that is basically an overview of what a large language model is, how it works. In our next video, we'll actually look at and see a demonstration in ChatGPT, what it generates, what it looks like, so that you can get a better idea. Talking about things in the abstract, it can give helpful context, but it's fun to see it work.